So let's think about, you bought a car, you've fallen behind on the payments, you're now in default. What happens in today's world? In today's world, the bank calls the repo man comes out and looks for your car, finds the car, tows the car, car's gone. Car's repossessed, and then there's a workout on the back end. Think about a new world, and I think I'm describing technology that you all would agree, this is technology that exists today. This is not reaching way out there and saying into the future. Think about a car that is borrowed on, or that is bought on time, where payments are being made and then payments go into arrear, and the car turns off itself electronically because it has sensors, because it has a connection to the internet. It's one member of the Internet of Things, and the bank has the ability to hit a button and to execute a contract. And a contract says if you fall this far behind in your payments, your car will be turned off, and it will be turned off only under the condition where the car has been stationary for more than an hour, and the interior sensors say there's nobody in the car. You signed the contract. That seems like a safe situation. And can you think of a situation where the ignition is deactivated and the car can no longer be started when the car has not been started for the last hour and the sensors say there's nobody inside the car? I'm not talking about something that's rocket science. This is readily available. Now, when you start getting deeper into smart contracts, the diagrams get a lot more complicated. And understanding this becomes much more difficult, to the point where I looked at this and I said, my head's full that night, but I see a key, and that relates to something else. And then as you continue to look at smart contracts, I'd encourage you to Google smart contract, my business. Whatever business you are in, smart contract, and see what's been developed within that space. Try to develop an understanding of what the technology looks like in that space and who's doing the work in that space. This is an Ethereum smart contract. It comes down to computer code, which must be written with intent, following a design specifications for this is what I want the smart contract to do. And then it must go through rigorous QA testing. When I took this picture at the Lend It conference, when the people from Consensus put this up on the board, they were talking about, yeah, I got the quotation marks wrong and I was transacting like $50,000 more than I expected. Yeah, so just like any computer code, it has to be rigorously QA'd. It's going to be very, very important. So I would assert that a lot of the hard work in building a blockchain that creates tremendous value is getting the smart contracts right. And that's what takes time, and that's where I would focus. Now, just let me point out that when you review this deck later, which I know many of you will, and you look closely at the details, you will see that this code is designed with the intent of being a smart contract for voting, which could be voting for corporate decisions, or it could be voting for public decisions, voting for office, voting for taxes, voting for referendums. Doesn't it make sense? Let's step back and think about them for a moment. I have a way of ensuring there's a signature on the data. That means the data will be immutable. The data will be distributed to many nodes, and I have the permission to then log in and see that my vote is counted. And I can go to anybody else and say, was your vote counted the way you expected? And they can log in and they can see their vote too counted, and they can see the aggregate tallies. Engenders trust for all parties who engage in that blockchain. And a voting blockchain strips out the cost of doing the business of government. Why would the folks at Consensus, which is associated with Ethereum, the second largest coin in terms of market cap, why are they spending their time on a voting smart contract? I don't think it is just for corporate use. I think it's for public use. They're going to want to sell this into state and local government and ultimately possibly into the federal government, because it will strip tremendous cost out of doing the business of government if everybody trusts the data, if blockchain delivers on its promise that the data are immutable. Has the immutability of the data been challenged at a level where you think that this?
It's not going to be.
It's not going to be. Last component. So it was encryption, distributed ledger, smart contracts, and permissions. So